the resized, let's preview that. It's a lot smaller. You can see that it didn't distort it, didn't warp it, and it kept the same aspect ratio. And the same with the girls. We'll preview that one. It's a nice big picture. Let's look at the thumb that we created. Perfect. Now let's look at the sky. This is the original. See that the thumbnail that we created using PHP is a lot smaller. So no loss of quality, no distortion, no degradation. Easy way to resize to any size you want, and it'll handle any type of files that you want to specify within the function. Alright, so now that we've proved that we have a good working application, let's take a look at the actual function in the file that's called AK-PHP Image Library 1.0. File, open. Let's grab that script and open it up. Now I custom created this script, so we didn't have to create 3 different functions for creating GIFs, PNGs, or JPEGs. You can use one universal function and simple if-else evaluation statements to create the right kind of file depending whether the extension is a GIF, PNG, or JPEG. So that's what I did. So this function will work universally for GIFs, PNGs, or JPEGs. And the way the variables are sent to the function, you don't even have to specify what it is. It will sense it on its own using this extension variable. Now you see these 5 parameters here in the beginning of the function? You can see function AK-image-resize starts right there. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters. Those are the same 5 parameters. They just have different names in the actual function, but they reflect the same 5 parameters that we sent to the function when we execute it. So in your script where you're uploading files, you use moveUploadedFile. When you run this function, that's when you're executing the function to actually make it run. Here in this line, you're just including it. Let's go back into the file. So basically this function, once it's included into your other script, it's just waiting to be executed, to be called to run. And that's what this line right here does. And it sends 5 parameters when it does execute. So when this function executes, it's picking up 5 parameters. You see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those are PHP variables that are then given the values of whatever was sent through that function. Does that make good sense? So now within this function, all through the code, you can work with these 5 variables that were sent through the function. Now all we need is to explain the code to you within this function, and you'll be well on your way to really mastering resizing files on the fly, making thumbnails and things like that. Now I'm going to translate all of this into plain English, but if you guys fail to understand math and simple logic, then that's not my fault if you can't grasp the concepts going on in the code. But I'm going to break it down all into plain English. Alright, this first line uses the list function in PHP to list out the original width and the original height of the target image when we run the getImageSize function on it. The getImageSize function is part of the GD library functions. So this line allows you to gather the original width and the original height into variables from the original image's size properties. The next line, create a variable called scale ratio, and that's going to be equal to the original width divided by the original height. So if your picture's original width was 600 and the original height was 400, it would be 600 divided by 400, which gives you a number of 1.5. But it's always going to be dynamic because you don't know what shape of an image the person is going to be uploading. That's why we have to use this scale ratio and this if and else condition statement. So this if and else condition statement reads, if the width divided by height. Now this is not the original width and the original height of the original picture. This is the width and height coming from the values that we sent through the function. And in our case, we were sending the width max and height max 200 and 150 right here to the function. We sent those variables. So this W and this H represents that 200 and the 150. So you're saying if 200 divided by 150 is greater than a scale ratio, then the width is equal to height times the scale ratio. Else, the height is equal to width divided by the scale ratio. So basically this if and else condition statement helps you change the width or the height of the newly created resized image according to what the aspect ratio of the image is. If it's a really tall image or if it's a really wide image, this if and else condition statement will help you make the correct mathematical equation to size that image to scale it correctly. All it is math and logic. There's no crazy language going on here. Everybody knows greater than, less than symbols. Everybody knows divided by, multiplication, equal signs. It's just math. But you have to have it this way in order to make your application dynamic, so it will scale any shape of image. That's really the toughest part of the code in this function. The rest of it's cake. After you figure out what the scale ratio has to be, and you've set the width and height to what it should be to scale it proportionally, then you want to check and see whether it's a GIF, a PNG, or a JPEG. And that's what these few lines do right here. We initialize a variable called img, and that's equal to nothing at first. And that's going to get changed within this if and else condition statements here. So the first condition is if the extension equals GIF or extension is equal to GIF in the uppercase, then image is going to be equal to image create from GIF in the target file. Else if the extension equals PNG or capital PNG, then we're going to use image create from PNG function using the target file. Else we know it's a JPEG if it's not either one of those two, so we can use the image create from JPEG function on the target file. Now you have to do this because there's no function in the GD library called image create from image. They're either image create from JPEG, either image create from GIF, or image create from PNG. So that's why we had to get the file's extension. We got the file's extension. This way we can easily evaluate to see whether it's a GIF, a PNG, or a JPEG, and depending on which one of those that we assess that it is, we can feed the correct function into this img variable. So this is a GD library function, image create from GIF. This image create from JPEG, we just used this the other day in the one of the first lessons in this video textbook, and I explained how that function works. These work the same way. Image create from GIF and image create from PNG work the same way as image create from JPEG. They just work for their respective file types. And then we can use that image variable down here where we need to inside of the image copy resampled function, which is a GD library function. All of these functions you see in here, these blue things, are GD library functions, except this top one, which is a custom function that I created to resize the image. But within the custom function that I created, there's all of these little blue things you see here are GD library functions for image processing. Let me just quickly explain the last three lines here, and you'll know how the resized copy is getting placed on the server. We create a variable called TCI, and that variable has a value of image create true color with the width and height variables. And what image create true color does is it basically just makes a black rectangle of the width and height that you specify. No need to overcomplicate that function because that's all it does. Now image copy resampled is a pretty tricky GD library function because it takes so many parameters. So I'm going to put in a little comment here for you, and I don't know if I'll keep this in the source code. I might just keep it in the video, but this is how the PHP manual describes this function. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 parameters this function has to get fed, image copy resampled. The first parameter being the destination image, and you can just think of that as the new image being created, the resized copy. The source image, that is the target image, the original big copy that you want to resize. Destination X, the new pictures X, the new pictures Y. The source X and the source Y. The destination pictures width and the destination pictures height. The source pictures width and the source pictures height. So those are the values that I fed the function here. And I gave it just the values that it needed to where it wouldn't crop the picture at all. It would just give a smaller representation of the original picture. You know that TCI is just that new black rectangle that was created using image create true color with a certain width and height. That's going to be the size of our little thumbnail. Image is the new GIF, PNG, or JPEG that was created within this evaluation. So now you know what all those variables are going in there. You should have no question about what each of these variables are. You can clearly see that these are all just zeros. You know what the width is and the height. The original width and the original height, you know what those are. So now image copy resampled shouldn't be so difficult for you to comprehend there. Now the last one we have is image JPEG, which I explained this one in a previous video within this video textbook. Just a couple of videos back I explained this one. And what this one will do is save it to the file system. Basically put it on a server for you. And that one gets 3 parameters. TCI, which is our new resampled image, because within this function here we took the black rectangle that was created here and we resampled it to be the resized copy of the original picture. So that's what we put into this first parameter of the image JPEG function. The second parameter is where you want it to be on the server, so it's path and file name. And new copy is established here when we fed the function its variables from the get-go, which came from the image upload script, remember? Resized file. That's the value. See that value right there? That's the value that's in new copy. So that's going right there. We're saving it with a quality of 80. For general purposes, 80 is good enough for everything. You don't want to make the file 100%. 80 is a good optimizing number. If you go up to 100, you're going to have an unnecessarily large file that you really can't tell a difference from using 80 or 100. But if you put this on 50, you'll probably see a difference. But between 80 and 100, you really won't see much difference. And like I said earlier, I'm going to have all of these scripts available under the video where it's playing at developphp.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description area of this video at YouTube. Click that link and you'll go to the page of developphp that has the copy and paste code directly on it under the video. So you can use this function for all your image resizing needs now when it comes to GIF, PNG, or JPEG. And if you want, you can add more. You can add BMP, WBMP type, whatever. But I just made it universal for GIF, JPEG, and PNG because those are the most popular ones. And remember, it's very easy to apply this to your current upload scripts that you have going on your site already with these few lines of code. You just have to make sure that you feed it the correct 5 variables that it's looking for, which I explained all of them in depth. I mentioned in a little caption that I was going to discuss this image JPEG function in greater detail about some odd behavior that I found about it. And you guys actually watched me execute this script live on my server. It actually saved a PNG, a JPEG, and a GIF to my server. And they all retained their types well, even though I used image JPEG to output them. So some people that might work with GD library a lot might say, hey Adam, you know, really, if the image is a GIF or a PNG, you shouldn't use image JPEG to save that file to the server. You should use image GIF or image PNG to do that. And you guys just saw me. I used image JPEG for all 3, no problem. Did the job just fine. But just know that in the GD library, there's 2 more functions similar to this one. One is called image GIF, and the other is called image PNG. And they do the same exact thing that image JPEG does, except one does for a GIF file, the other does for PNG files. And so the odd behavior that I found is image JPEG will output all 3 no problem, and they retain their file types, no sweat. So I just wanted to mention that to you guys. So if you want to have another if and else condition statement here, maybe down at this part of the script here, and use either image GIF or image JPEG or image PNG according to what file type extension that it is, then you can choose to do that. But I don't think it's necessary because I found this little weird behavior. Alright, we'll see you in the next lesson. Geeky McDorkmunch signing out.